Hey there, this is the Designated Pundits. It is MLS Matchday 15 right around the corner. We have some of the best picks that you're going to find anywhere. Stay tuned and we'll get the show going. Gentlemen, it is Friday at 3:55. Great time to have a show. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Or if you catch us on Rewind, your favorite podcast app, Spotify now with video, or if you're watching on YouTube, click that bell icon, subscribe, get notified every time we go live. Everything we do on this channel is live, so you can catch it all as we do it. Drop a comment, join the conversation. That's always a lot more fun when you're here. Scott, Deon, you guys ready to go?
Yes, sir.
So ready.
Ready to have a rebound week from the hell that was week 14. Here's a little recap of our show picks. Me and Deon in the plus, Scott and Alex in the very negative, both getting golden sombreros, 0-4 on the week. That's going to plummet our numbers here, 6-12, minus 5.82 units on the week, but we're still in the plus 3.7 units on the season. Bob, that's me, in the lead, 44-36 with a 10.21 unit head start. Everyone else just under 500 in the barely negative category. Let's straighten that out this week with some really good plays. And we're going to start out with Seattle versus Dallas, a week that I did not really see this being an early match, but it is one of the matinees on Saturday. Seattle Sounders 5-5-4, FC Dallas 4-4-5. This is a 3:00 Saturday matchup here. Home odds, you have the Seattle Sounders minus 250 and the FC Dallas plus 650. Huge number. We're really expecting Seattle Sounders to put a trouncing on here. Over 2.5 goals for Seattle, minus 120. Over under 2.5 goals, minus 102. So we're right on that even line. But Seattle over 1.5 team total, minus 184 to the over, plus 142 to the under. So like the sportsbook sees this as a Seattle Sounders 2-1 win with absolutely no other plays. That's what I see when I see these numbers.
That's also what I see when I see these numbers. And frankly, I believe them. The average goals per game for both of these teams is 2.9, 2.8, something like that, right? So that's what they do. It's an interesting one. Dallas much better on the road than they are at home this season. Seattle also much better at home than they are on the road. So you're looking at these two teams in a weird way, both playing in their best environments. I think that bodes well for this. You look at the averages for winning margin, for losing margin for Seattle. Both of those are in that 2.5 goal range. It just screams over 2.5. And so that's actually my official pick on this is over 2.5 goals. It looks like the number is probably moving a little bit. You've got minus 120 here. I saw earlier for minus 135. That might have been earlier this week.
Yeah, I absolutely love this play. I think that Seattle is going to beat the heck out of Dallas. Look at what Dallas has had to do so far in the past 3 matches over 2 weeks. Keep in mind, Seattle has not traveled. They are playing at home. They were at home. They had no midweek match. Dallas went from Dallas to New York to play the Red Bulls earlier this week, played extra time in New York, and then traveled from New York to Seattle. Those are not the directions you want to see your team heading. That is probably the most you could travel in a single match day. And for that reason, I agree. Now, minus 650, if you want to dabble a little bit on that, like I don't think any MLS team should ever be minus 650. This isn't EPL soccer here. I don't think that any team really has that extreme an advantage, but I will back that play over 2.5 goals, minus 135, minus 120, depending on where you can get it. Great play for Scott starting out the week. Next up, DC United hosts the New York Red Bulls. DC United, 3 wins, 5 draws, 6 losses. Red Bulls, 5 wins, 3 draws, and 6 losses. Having a very up and down season, winning midweek, having that extra time game against Dallas. This is 7:30 in Audi Field. Of course, travel, not quite a factor. It's about as short a home ride as you can get in Major League Soccer to head from New York to DC. It's like 5 hours. I've done that many, many times. So both teams on short travel. And let's get into it. There is plus 140 home favorites. DC United is plus 170 for the Red Bulls, plus 240 for the draw, minus 118 for over 2.5 goals, and plus 118 for under 2.5 goals. That is exactly even. Doesn't get any better than that. And I think that speaks a really, really true story. I think 2.5 is exactly the line I want. The way I wanted to play this match, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I approached it, because it's unique. It's not usually how I approach soccer at all. I wanted to draw. I wanted to draw plus 240. But then I kept seeing ways that I could add and get more possibilities. I think it's going to be a low-scoring match. I don't think this is going to be a shootout. Red Bulls are going to be without Nalis, which I think is just going to make them even less aggressive. I think that this is a 1-1 0-0 draw. I think it's going to be a very boring match. So I'm actually going to take Red Bull on the double chance, win or draw, and under 3.5 goals. So a 2-1 win for Red Bull, a 1-1 draw, or a 0-0. I think those 3 possibilities are the most likely. And at minus 102, I really like the money I'm getting here on the double chance. DC's just a mess. They're not scoring. They did beat Red Bull in Red Bull Arena, but we talked about what Red Bull's strategy was, just trying to contain Benteke. And once he went down, we knew nothing. There was no film on that team before. Now we kind of know what DC United's plan is without Benteke. I think it's easier to plan for. And for that reason, I'm taking Red Bull on the double chance. Deon, how do you see this match? I'm very interested.
Yeah, this one was hard for me just because I know that Red Bull is your team, but they have not won on the road, and this is kind of why I stayed away from, because DC United also very inconsistent. But yes, they are without Benteke, and I don't know, or is he back? Do you know?
I believe, well, he made his return and then left injured again, so he is in doubt for this match. We do not know if he's back, but what my cap was more about, since he missed time, now we know what the team looks like without him. Where when he went down that first time, we didn't know what the plan B was going to be. Now we've seen plan B in action a few times.
Gotcha. Yeah, see, I like your play here, because I really think that I think this match ends in a draw, and I think it's low scoring. I actually think it's going to end like a 1-1, possibly even 0-0 in this one. But yeah, I stayed away with it because both teams just kind of inconsistent, looking that great. So that I would say I would go with a draw in this one.
And Scott, you look like you had something to say there.
Yeah, it's just, I think my only concern, I like this. I agree with your reasoning about the previous matchup with this. Christian Benteke going down through a big wrench in what the Red Bulls wanted to do, and the thing is that DC's replacement was not a like for like with Benteke. It's a guy who played in a very different way, and then that was really put the Red Bull defense at a disadvantage. So I'm okay with that. I suppose I would just be a little worried, like Benteke is listed as questionable. It seems like he's, I don't know, getting closer to coming back. If he is a sub option, right, that could be the kind of thing, because it feels like the Red Bulls have to set up one way or the other. And right, you're either adapted for what DC can do without Benteke or what DC can be with Benteke, and those are very different things. Yeah. And can the Red Bulls shift? Can they adapt if that has to happen again? And that's sort of my question that makes me worried about this.
It's also a little bit of health. Like Sean Nealis, he's out. He will not be playing in this match. He's suspended. Parker, Hack, Duncan hasn't looked great. Yeah, Valencia's back. He's been playing fantastic soccer. It's less about like the actual players on the field and more like we're not getting caught with our pants down twice against the same mediocre opponent. DC could win this match, but it didn't take a lot to get the double chance to even money, which is why I wanted that. Like I said, I was actually eyeing the draw plus 240. So I will be dabbling a little bit of that on my own. Let's head now to the Great White North. CF Montreal, 1 win, 4 draws, and 9 losses this season. LAFC, 6-4-4. This one is at Stade Saputo on Saturday. Looking at the odds here, CF Montreal plus 240 home underdogs, LAFC 105 on the road, over under 2.5 goals, minus 128 to the over, and plus 106 if you think this is going to be a low scoring matchup. We have one official play here, Scott, and you had a rough week last week, so you're going back to the well of what worked 2 weeks ago, and I love it. Not a play we talk about very often, but you're going to sell us on Bouanga putting 2 shots on target this week.
I am. And yes, in a way, weirdly, I am going back to something that works for me before, but this is about, I didn't really want to pick a winner. LAFC, I think, does win it, but it's on the road. It's been a hard week. I just don't want to get into that again. I wanted something that, the result is a little less important to me. Montreal does give up chances. Their defense is not that good. They have a talent gap. Bouanga is the main man for LAFC. He is the thing. He is the player that everything flows through. He's been hot for the last, month or so. He doesn't have to score here. All he has to do is get 2 shots on target. It's not a high barrier for him to overcome, and it's minus 105. This is one of those ones that I think I will kind of look for. There's a couple other teams that I looked for this kind of play on, but until Bouanga cools off, I think this is one of those ones that it's like, it's a really low threshold for him. It's an easy one to hit.
Now, keep in mind, shots on target is a little more volatile. It's not just shots. It needs to be blocked by the goalkeeper. I like this too. Minus 105. Bouanga is back to being the star. He got off to a little slow start, but I really feel like he's back at it. I like this play, minus 105. LAFC, this does scare me a little bit just because we haven't seen the best of Montreal. However, it's week 15. So if we haven't seen the best of a team and it's 15 weeks in, I'm going to kind of agree with you on that play there. Deon, any chance Montreal walks away with a win here?
No, and actually I did have a play on this one, Bob. I did pick LAFC at plus 105. I think that there is no way for Montreal to win this one, even though LAFC have only have 1 win on the road so far, but they're scoring around 2 goals on the road. CF Montreal are allowing 2 goals. They're at home. And yes, LAFC are allowing goals. I could see this one. I could have went with both teams to score on this one because I got a feeling that might happen in this match. But I think LA will score 2. And if Montreal score at all, it'll be 1. So I think LAFC at 105.
Like that play a lot. I'm trying to look for both teams to score. That's going to go right now at minus 160. So something that we're seeing as a very likely possibility here. Let's move on now and talk about Orlando facing the Portland Timbers. Orlando 6-2. Portland Timbers 6 wins, 5 draws, and 3 losses so far this season. This game is at Inter & Stadium. When you look at the odds here, Orlando City heavy favorites minus 170. The draws at plus 310 in the away odds, plus 400 for Portland. They have fallen from grace from what we would expect from the beginning of the season, and these numbers don't quite reflect a true story here. I have one official play, but I want to see how you guys would approach this match first, because I have kind of a unique play here, and I'm taking something that hasn't happened in about 6 games. So I'm going the opposite way of trends on this one, and I'm taking the Portland team total over 1.5 at plus 200. Look at what Portland did last season. Their offense is much the same as last season. They had some guys get injured. You have Rodriguez back. There's no reason this team can't really click on all cylinders. 2 goals isn't that much to ask. And to ask for what was the most overpowered offense in soccer, to do it once, again, they haven't done it in, I think, 5 matches. Orlando City isn't conceding that much at home, but they're a punching bag. We saw them getting beat a lot earlier in the season. Why can't Portland get a second goal? This is a risky play. This is one that has an under 50% chance of occurrence of happening, but the payback is so great. I still think the plus 200 is a great play here.
Oof, I mean, I'm with you. The thing is, I look at those odds and I think, yeah, they've got it wrong for Portland. Portland's better than plus 400. But Orlando only concedes like a goal and a half per game at home, something like that. They don't concede very often, and in their last 5 games, they've conceded no goals, 1 goal, 3 goals against the Revolution. That was wild. No goals and no goals. Some of those teams are not good teams. Atlanta's in there. Let's see now, an inconsistent Chicago, Charlotte's spluttering offense sometimes. So like, yeah, but Portland's got better balance this season in a way. Last year, it was all like they'd go out and score a whole bunch of goals and then concede a whole bunch of goals. They've figured out their defense, but their offense isn't quite as explosive, I think, sometimes. And that would be the thing that gives me pause. I think that's why I would kind of shy away from that. I see them scoring 1. It could happen, but I could see them coming out with 1. Deon, I don't know. Do you feel differently?
I'm kind of with you, Scott. I think I would stay away from it because the last time Portland did score over 1.5, it was against LA Galaxy, which was 5 matches ago. And like you said, Orlando is looking pretty good other than that match against the Revs. If Portland comes in, I would say Portland are almost as good as what the Revs are right now. And so maybe they could have that kind of show off and have like a 3-3 or a 2-2. But I don't know if I could pull the trigger on that one, Bob.
All right, we are going to see real soon here plus 200. It's kind of a big bomb bet. It is a bet. It is a wager. It is a real star shot here. But Portland is too good. They're too good. They have to do it again. They've been scoring on the road. They had 2 matches in a row where they scored 4. Then they faced RSL. They didn't score any. I just think there's too much recency bias in a plus 200 number for a second goal. That might be the lowest, totally the lowest odds. The highest odds, the lowest implied probability of any team scoring twice on the road this week. It's just such a huge number. I wanted to attack that. Heading now to Philadelphia, who's hosting Inter Miami. Philadelphia 9-2-3, Inter Miami 6-4-3. Maybe we would have seen these lines reversed, in our heads to start this season. Maybe not the form of Inter Miami that we would expect, but we have some good home odds here. Plus 110 for the Union, plus 210 for Miami. I love the plus 210 for Miami, to be honest, just because they're so star-studded, they can go off at any time. Like, huge range of possibilities for this match, and the sportsbook is playing like every game for Miami now is going to be like low scoring and really close, and they're going to lose on the road and win at home. I kind of tend to disagree with that. We see the over under of 2.5 goals, minus 162 to the over, plus 134 to the under. It's because both of these teams have the ability to go out and score 5 on their own. Do you guys have any leans here? We have me and Scott with official plays. So Deon, why don't you go first?
I don't know if I don't really have a lean as in who wins it, because like you were saying, Inter Miami have the talent to go off at any point in time. And both teams only have 1 loss in this, home and away. Inter Miami only 1 loss on the road so far this season. Philadelphia only 1 loss there at home. Both teams are really good. I would say that some type of over would be the way I would go with this one, because I don't know. I really think that this one could end up even in a draw, like 2-2. So if I would lean one way or another, it would definitely go with how many goals are in the game and not a winner or a loser.
That's exactly the way me and Scott take it away.
That's what we were thinking. And it's, I think it's actually a little bit of a push, because both of these teams are like statistically trending towards 3 goals per game, kind of that 2-1 ratio. It's funny with Miami, with all the news coming out of Miami, you would think their season is going really, really poorly, but it isn't. It isn't that bad. There's some struggles, yes, but they have plenty of talent. They're probably going to be okay. Every road stumble, for them just gets blown out of proportion. I think that both of these teams have offenses that can exploit the other team's defense. Inter Miami has shown themselves to be a little bit suspect in the back when teams are very direct, and they just go at them, right? There's space behind that back line. Philadelphia is a team that will play like that. They're very direct. Miami, at the same time, they will exploit you if you give them space. And Philadelphia's setup does have space in the back that can be exploited. So I think there's opportunity for both of these teams to score, and for Miami to find a few more goals than usual. I agree with Deon. I didn't want to pick a winner, so I just went with an over. It's over 3.5. It's plus 150.
That is also my official play. Andre Blake is questionable for this match, and Glavanovic is out for Philadelphia. I think that is worth a goal for Miami right there. Miami, of course, are still without Drake Callender. Ustari's been fantastic, so I'm not going to take anything away from them there.
Not last week he wasn't.
Not last week he wasn't. That is fair. I just see that these teams, while Philly had a midweek match, they're not really traveling. They were in Philadelphia from Atlanta. Inter Miami didn't have a midweek match. Very light travel for them, just going up the East Coast. I think we're going to see goals. I think this is going to be an electric game, and I think both teams are going to rise to the occasion. I could see this beating 3.5. I could see this beating 4.5. I really think there's going to be some offense in this one, and me and Scott are both getting that plus 3.5 goals at plus 150. Great number there for us.
Let's go.
Moving on now, Sporting KC hosting the New England Revolution at Children's Mercy Park. These are going to be the 8:30 games on Saturday. Let's take a look at the odds here. Sporting KC plus 120 at home, Revolution plus 200 because they're away, plus 250 for the draw. So I like that number there. Over under 2.5 goals, minus 136 for the over, plus 112 to be under. There are some storylines here, including New England Revolution traveling from New England to Sporting KC. They did have a midweek loss in the Open Cup. Sporting KC might be a little better rested. They've had very mixed results. Just when we started saying that their offense is going to score, we're putting wagers down pro Sporting KC, and they blow us away again with some low numbers. Here, the New England Revolution, as bad as they've been at points season, they're pretty good now, and that defense has been really solid. There are two official plays, me and Deon. We're going to throw to Deon first and see what he's thinking.
Yeah, so you actually kind of touched on it with like that travel, and then Sporting Kansas City not having that like midweek match. I was just going to go straight up the Revs in this one just because of how bad Sporting Kansas City has been, but actually recently they've not been too bad, but I'm still leaning towards the Revs in this one. And so I went ahead and did the Revs draw no bet at plus 125. So if it does end in a draw, I get my money back. But if they win, I get that, I get that plus 125.
Love that play. For me, it's just under 2.5 goals, plus 112. Sporting KC has proven that their offense cannot be trusted by any means. Just when they start looking like they can score goals, we see them put up a couple bad results. So I'm just really okay with saying the Revolution defense is going to lock it. They're away. I like that a lot. Sporting KC drew 0-0 against San Diego last week. They didn't score against Portland. They only scored once against the Galaxy. I think that is as blatant as we can see. This is a bad offense. I like Revolution. I like the lean. I like the draw no bet at plus 125 so much that I'm adding that as an official play on the go. Revs draw no bet at plus 125. I think that is just a slam dunk. Sporting KC can't be trusted. They cannot be trusted. And I'm tired of pretending like each and every week, like, what is Sporting KC going to do? Are they going to score a lot this week? Or are they going to be pretty bad? I don't know. Scott?
You're right. They can't be trusted, but in a way, like
You can
I don't know.
trust the chaos, you know.
You can trust the chaos. Some of their bad form is because they have been on the road. 4 of their last 5 games were road games. The one game they won in their last 5 games was a home game. I would happily pick against SKC, but New England is also a team that I don't feel like is super trustworthy. Is it the team that put up 3 against Orlando? Is it somebody like who are they? Like what are they? Both of these teams I think were teams that started badly and have sort of gradually improved over the course of the season. I think this could be a little bit of a litmus test for them to see where they're really at against another sort of chaotic bad team.
I just look at Sporting KC, and we gave them that huge bump because they had those like 3 games in a row, including that 5-3 win in San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think we're looking at that a little too hard because their other 2 wins, they have 3 wins this season. One was that crazy game against San Jose that if you played 15 times, it wouldn't go over 8 goals again.
Yeah, never again.
Their other win is home against the LA Galaxy and home against St. Louis City, both in the middle of the worst parts of their stretch. So Sporting KC is bad. They had a couple good results, but that doesn't mean they're good. They just played teams that are even worse than they are. New England is a better team, and I think they're in a better team in a bubble. And we've seen them make coaching change or make formation change this season, changing the whole back line, going to a 3-back system, and that just kind of lit this offense on fire. And they're doing it without 2 of their best players who are now in position battles in positions they don't want to be playing, with Langoni being like a wing-back substitute now. I'm okay with this. I am okay with everything here. There is still risk involved, but we got the draw no bet. We got a plus number, plus 125. So like it checks, these bets check every box here. Official plays, Revs draw no bet plus 125 and under 2.5 goals at plus 112. Guess that's why they call it gambling. Next up, Colorado Rapids host St. Louis City. The Rapids 5-4-5 at home. St. Louis 2-5-7 on the road. This is 9:30 on Saturday evening at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Looking at the odds, Colorado Rapids are minus 120 home favorites. St. Louis 280 on the road. The draw is at plus 280. Over 2.5 goals, minus 166 for the over, and under 2.5 goals is plus 136. If we're seeing over goals in a game that St. Louis City is playing, gentlemen, that should be a sign.
Yeah, I don't understand the number for Colorado here. And actually, I just looked, it's moved to minus 115. And I'm wondering, did something happen? Has everybody on Colorado's team, contracted pneumonia or something? Like, I don't understand how Colorado's not a bigger home favorite here.
Well, I'm checking right now. Zach Steffen is questionable.
Okay.
There's a 75% chance of rain.
I don't think that bothers the Colorado Rapids.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, Zach Steffen's a big part to what the Colorado Rapids do, but St. Louis's offense isn't good enough to really exploit that, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that worth 5 points?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we're just reading different sports books, and the line's going to move 10 more points in Colorado Rapids direction when people see this video and start betting on them, which is what we've seen. Actually, I think that's kind of a good sign that the last 5 weeks when I go to put my bets in after the show, the lines have already gone in the unfavorable direction for me, which just shows that I'm on the right side of some of these plays. But I agree, man. Colorado Rapids, that is a slam dunk pick. That is my official play. Colorado Rapids minus 120. I'm not alone. We had some graphic. Oh, no, I am alone on this, aren't I?
You are alone. Although I think it's a really good pick. I will say, looking closer at the projected lineups, looks like Navarro is questionable. So that's a little offensive output. And Cole Bassett, who is a very important piece of that Colorado team, is questionable. So if those guys don't play, that definitely hurts Colorado. But it's not like this Colorado team is incapable of winning. They still have plenty of players who can go and make magic happen. Mihailovic is still available. Kevin Cabral, Darren Yappy still available in the offense. So, it's not like they're playing scrubs.
No, I'm okay taking that because St. Louis City is playing scrubs, and even if they're at 100%, they're still playing scrubs. Right now, this team is just not looking good, and that breaks my heart. I love this team preseason. I talked about them every week for the first 3 weeks, and it just hasn't come true. Breaks my heart. I love St. Louis. All right, moving on. Scott, this is your team, RSL 4-2-8, hosting Vancouver Whitecaps 8-4-1. This is Saturday, also at 9:30. When we look at the odds here, we see plus 145 for RSL, plus 160 for the Whitecaps, plus 250 for the draw. Over 2.5 goals, minus 132 if you like to be scored, plus 108 if you want the under on 2.5. Now, Vancouver Whitecaps have a midweek draw. They had heavy rotation in the Canadian Cup. They travel. They're without Gold again, without Rios, without McKenzie, and they're playing at altitude. That to me just is old legs, and they're starting the same guys because they kind of have to in a bind. Am I crazy to make a pro RSL play in this match?
Yes, except for RSL lost their last game, and RSL has like one back-to-back loss in like the last 2 seasons. It's not that much, but back-to-back losses under Pablo Mastroeni are collector's items, and that is true. They don't do that. So weirdly, in spite of recent form and all sorts of things, you can throw a lot of that away. They lost their last game. The most likely thing to happen is a win or a draw for RSL.
Love to hear that. Now, Deon, on your own show, did you make a pick on this match?
Yeah, I did. And on this one, I actually went with a draw. I went with a 2-2 draw because I try to predict the actual score, but usually I just talk about the outcome. And I think that with Vancouver, with like pretty much the same thing you were talking about, Bob, the rotation and stuff, not being able to, and then having the, midweek game and then having to travel. I think that RSL can get the job done. And I love the stat there, Scott, like, usually after that loss, like I love those kind of stats. So it makes me feel even more confident about a draw happening in this match, or even at this point, an RSL win.
I'm taking RSL double chance and under 3.5 goals at plus 102. You had me until 2-2. I just see this being a low scoring match. Vancouver is still a good team, and I think their defense is going to travel a little better than their offense. We generally do see that. And then at altitude, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of goals in this match. I think this is going to be close, cagey one. RSL on the double chance, under 3.5 goals. My first anti-Vancouver Whitecaps play of the season. Moving now, this is our second to last match, and I think we're on Sunday now, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, Sunday, 3:00, Yankee Stadium, NYCFC hosting the Chicago Fire. Both teams are just above 500. 6 wins, 3 draws, 5 losses for NYCFC, 5 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses for the Chicago Fire. Heading into this one, you have the home odds, NYCFC minus 105, the draw at plus 280, and the away team at plus 230. That is for Chicago. You have team totals here, which are kind of interesting to me. Minus 128 for NYCFC to score 2 or more, plus 100 for them not to hit that under of 1.5. Away team total over under 1.5 goals, plus 158 to the over and minus 102 to the under. So very interesting here. Scott, you have official play. Deon has an official play. I'm going to throw to Scott first just because it sounds like Deon has a weed whacker going in his background. Or is that me? That's me.
That could be you. I don't hear it, so it's fine. Look, NYCFC hosting Chicago Fire. I agree with the sportsbook on the sense of I think there's going to be some goals to be had in this game. Chicago is especially susceptible to that. Hold on, I had the number here in front of me a second ago, but they have let in 24 goals this season. They have also scored 24 goals this season in 13 games. That's a lot of goals. So yeah, minus 154 is probably understating it. I know games at NYCFC are typically not as free scoring, but I just don't care. What I actually think is going to happen here is both teams to score. And then I'm taking the no draw. Both teams to score, no draw. I think Chicago, they let stuff in. I would lean towards NYCFC to get the win here. And at minus 105, those are pretty good on its own. But just to play it a little safe, I just was like, okay, I'll divest a little bit from picking a winner. Both teams are going to score. Somebody's going to win this. It won't end in a draw. And
but Scott, Chicago are frauds.
Not on the road. On the road, they're actually kind of good.
I'm the voice of public opinion. That's
Lucas is somewhere. He didn't come back after Chicago won their last game. But no, on the road, they're like 500 or something like that. At home, they're not doing as well. It's just one of those things. This kind of leans towards Chicago being a little more free-flowing, a little more likely to score and concede. And then NYCFC has just a strong home advantage.
Deon's also got to play here.
Yeah, and NYCFC does have a strong advantage in this one. And I went with NYCFC double chance and under 2.5 at plus 152. I just like that number because NYCFC are only allowing 0.7 goals there at home so far this season, and they're only scoring 1.3. But one of the reasons why I'm going with NYCFC, they are good at home, but also Chicago has never won on the road at NYCFC. They have 3 draws and 8 losses to NYCFC. So I have to say that they continue that, and I think that NYCFC are going to win this one, but it's going to be under 2.5. I know that Chicago scores a lot of goals, but then they also give up a lot of goals, especially on the road, because they're averaging 2.4 on the road, but also giving up 2.4. So I know that that's a risky bet, but I that's what I'm going with.
17 and 17. 17 goals scored, 17 goals conceded in 7 games for Chicago on the road. I love the double chance, but it's the under that scares me.
I think I like that 150 too much.
I like it too, though.
If anything, NYCFC not playing midweek, maybe they're just a little fresher and can keep the goal line down a little bit. Chicago, they are traveling. I think they were in Charlotte, New England, New York. So yeah, they've had a little tiny go of it recently. Maybe that takes a little flame out of the fire.
It could do. I think the thing that worries me the most is that Chicago won't get a goal at all. I think they're crafty enough to poach something off of like a set piece or a second chance rebound kind of thing. But the thing that worries me is that Chicago just being a little bit tired after everything that's happened in the last few weeks and all the games, that they won't get that done. The NYCFC will keep the clean sheet.
Moving on now to 2 teams who did not play midweek, and somehow they get the late Sunday game. That doesn't seem fair. Atlanta United, 2 wins, 5 draws, 7 losses. FC Cincinnati, 9 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. I'm sure this is exactly the matchup Deon wants to see right now while his team is licking their wounds. Atlanta, plus 145 home odds, plus 250 for the draw, plus 160 if you favor FC Cincinnati away, although I think that number is going to go down as bets come in a little sharper, closer to game time. Over 2.5 goals, minus 152. Under 2.5 goals, plus 126. Deon, you are the lone official play. You usually don't bet on Atlanta matches. I'm really interested to see what you have here.
Yeah, so obviously I'm not betting a winner or loser in this one just because I try to stay away from that with Atlanta United, because obviously you want your team to win. But with this one, I went with under 2.5 at +1. Well, it was 120. I think you said 126 on yours. And the reason why I did that is because Atlanta has not scored over a goal in their last 5, and it might even go longer than that. And in Cincinnati's last 5 matches, they have only scored 2 goals one time. Every other time it's under 2. So I think this one's going to end like a 1-1, 1-0 kind of thing, even though both teams are allowing and scoring over a goal. Atlanta at home, Cincinnati away. But I just got a feeling this one's going to end in a very low scoring match. And that's why I'm going with the under 2.5.
Interesting. I'm noticing that both teams relatively healthy. Atlanta looks like Brooks Lennon questionable. Now that's kind of a big miss on a defense that has had some struggles. Any concerns?
I mean, yeah, miss it. Brooks being out, if he is out, it is a hit, but I don't know. I still think, because even with that, I mean, Atlanta have only given up their worst loss in the last 5 was against Orlando City in Orlando, 3-0. And the only time that a team has scored more than 1 goal is against Chicago, and that was also on the road. So at home, they aren't allowing multiple goals. I mean, they played against a good Philadelphia team that was last weekend, and Philadelphia only scored 1. So I think that it's going to be under that 2.5.
I like this play. I don't see games in this either, but FC Cincinnati, they're just diabolical right now with Evander. I don't want to bet on this match. I just don't. I want to watch it. And maybe I'll find like a goal scorer or something. Evander shots on target or something right before game time. I just can't.
But it's also one of those things I could see Cincinnati winning this 2-0. I mean, Atlanta, we know that Atlanta hasn't really scored much. So even if Cincinnati scores 2 and Atlanta doesn't score, you still walk away with the money there.
Cincy's draw no bet is like +100 right now. Kind of like that. I would be looking at Cincy to get some sort of result. Evander is +140 if you want shots on target. Latte Loth is +165. I would look at those things. I think there's like ways to dice this game that like there's value to be had. But overall, like Deon, I think you're right. Like 21 goals in 8 games at home for Atlanta, like total. Right. So it's like 2 and a little bit.
I'm
easy.
I'm less worried about it. I guess you're right. If Atlanta is shut out, I just don't see Cincinnati scoring under 2 goals.
So you think they're going to put up 3 on Atlanta?
No, I don't think they're going to put up 1 or 0. I think they're going to put up 2 or more.
Gotcha.
It's tough. This is a really tough game for me because no matter how bad a team is, you just never know that they're down and out because those things can change so quickly. But I do like the cap. I like the reasoning behind it. I definitely see all those things happening. Atlanta, I think they're just on my do not bet list right now. And for FC Cincinnati, it's been a while since I've sat live and watched an FC Cincinnati game. Like they've just been getting slots that I just haven't really caught enough of them to really be 100% confident playing them right now. So I do like to play official under 2.5 goals +120, a plus number bet there like that. Let's take a look at our final sheets here. Alex, of course, no official plays. Bob's got 6 +1 live. Everyone else has 4. Gentlemen, this is going to be our bounce back week. Let's go get those plus money plays. Let's get that keep those plays moving. Let's bring this team back into the positive. Of course, we're positive for the year, but had a rough week last week. Let's redeem ourselves with some really nice plus money plays, get back in the green. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you again on Monday.
Bye.